Hello and welcome to braided hair demonstration. So your first step is to, and I didn't draw all of it for the sake of trying to get all of the hairs done, but I did chunk out the outline of the braids first. And so I do look at like braids that like go behind each other, like how these are kind of tucked and then these come forward over here. So I looked closely. I also kind of scribbled in where I could see the white negative spaces showing through. Or you would have, if this was you, you would have done your skin tone in that little part first. All right, so let me show you how to draw the braid where you can see how it's braided. And these are not gonna look perfect. Braids are actually kind of difficult to draw, especially with like the white charcoal, and especially if they're dark. And so this is how I would draw them. You're gonna kind of like start with like two curves to get the curve on the outside, and then you tuck the next piece kind of under it. So then like two curves on the outside and then two curves on the other side. And so you're gonna tuck that piece in there. And so hold your pencil in the middle or as far away from the tip as you can or towards the end. You are also going to need Sharpie for this because we're going to cheat to put some of the black back in because this braids are pretty small to like be erasing out detail. I mean, we'll try, but we're going to cheat a little. So I'm also trying to get that contour outline, that curved kind of contour outline. And it looks weird at first. It kind of looks like a chain, which essentially is kind of what it is. Okay, fades out. And then over here, I can see like the side of the braid where I can't see the actual like pieces where the hairs are overlapping. So I kind of look at the angle and I kind of get in like the angle of each chunk first. Kind of put that in like that. And then I would go back and just curve like little parentheses kind of. Okay. All right, now for the fun part. So actually I bet these are probably really light in value. So I would go back, kind of tap and lighten, especially if your hair is darker in value. So lighten, oh, I still could probably lighten a little bit more. Okay, so for where like it bends, and so you catch all those little highlights wherever it bends, so you can take a look at your picture, like, let me get that piece in there. So where it bends, I would add a few little lines. Like in the center where it bends. Well, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. Oh, I don't know if that's better. Hold on. Okay, that's okay. There, let me do this. All right, that's better. I didn't draw a chunk here. I don't know what I was doing. And you want to sharpen your pencil ever so often. And it doesn't have to be in the middle, like some of them are lighter, like where they tuck under the other piece. So you can kind of alternate a little bit where you're putting the curved highlights. Okay, so you're gonna do that on every single braid. Then with your small blender or medium, I think I'm gonna use small, kind of depends on how big your hair is. I'm gonna just touch blend and tap over those lines in the direction that they go. So you're softening the hair so it looks more realistic. And honestly, spend a good amount of time doing this because this is probably your only layer. If you have like an area that's, I mean, so for her highlights, I mean, like on the chunks that are on top and maybe that piece too, I would go back and add a little bit more, but in general, it's like the same level of highlight on like all of the braids. Okay, then we're gonna cheat. So with your Sharpie or Sharpie pen, I'm going to go back and like where it tucks in, like here, I'm gonna go back and add, and I'm gonna put the dark back in, which you can barely tell on screen. So I'm gonna pull like away from where it tucks in there. So it's curved hatching essentially. Another reason why we practice mark making, it helps with hair. So you're gonna do that on each little piece. Put the dark back in. And if you have like a really dark outline, you can kind of touch over it a little bit. And then turn your paper so your arm is comfortable. And put something under your hand, you know, if you're putting your hand on top of your face that you just spent like so long shading. Okay, so here I like lost the dark value between them, so I'm gonna put that back in. And mind you, this is Sharpie, so you can't really fix the darks. I'm gonna turn this a little bit so my hand is more comfortable. So I'm kind of going on the inside, flick, 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 outside. So if you could see this a little bit better on white paper, I'd have the outline, and then this outline, and that one. So I'm like pulling in and pulling up. So like that, pulling down, pulling up. So then the highlights are still showing on the edges. All right, so then I would do that everywhere. It'll look cool when you're done. Just like it with anything, the more time you put into it, the better it looks. Like play some music, listen to a movie that you've seen a million times, entertain yourself while you're doing this. Just keep saying it's gonna look good when I'm done. It's gonna look good when I'm done. All right. Then when you're done with that, if it's still a little bit too light, because I feel like that's pretty light, I'm gonna go back over and tap, and I'll probably do that one more time. And then in areas that are the lightest, so like along here, I'm just gonna add like a few marks, and then I'm not gonna blend. So you can pop a few highlights on there, and if you're like, oh, that looks too extreme, I mean, you can touch blend slightly, but you're kind of covering the Sharpie at that point. So you just wanna add a little highlight on where it bends or curves. So I would say entertain yourself. This might, oh, actually, let me show you the negative space. I apologize. But take your time, do it well. So if you have any negative spaces, you're gonna wanna and blend and kind of fill those in. To get the outline. So I would fill those in and blend that before doing the braids over there for any background negative spaces showing through. And it helps clean up the edge before you can start. All right, good luck, have fun.